Today we're going to talk about how we retired at the age of 27 with passive income. So this is a part of a series on how we work through the steps to get to financial freedom personally, and we also give you the tips we wish we had when we were doing that journey. So make sure you watch this entire video so you get all those little tips, and then watch the other videos in the series. We're going to link to that at the end of this video. Today we're going to talk about step number 2, which is building a safety net. So step number 1 was destroying high interest debt. So watch the other video about that. Now we're going to talk about building a safety net. So Chris, what is a safety net and why is it important?
Yep, so we call it a safety net because it gives us peace of mind, kind of like the safety net underneath a tightrope walker. For us, a safety net is a certain number of months of expenses. So our needs expenses, the day-to-day living expenses, housing, transportation, food, like not extravagant stuff, just your basics. So that we know that if we stop getting income for whatever reason, right? We lose our job or something happens. I lose a leg and I can no longer walk around. Like any of those things happen, we have a certain number of months to figure it out. How many months will vary from family to family. We typically recommend figuring out who in your family is the most risk averse, the most afraid of risk, and pick their number because everybody's got to sleep well at night. So in our relationship, you could probably go with what, 3 months of safety net and be happy? 6 months? Okay, 6 months of safety net. I prefer a year. So we have a year of safety net because we both need to sleep, right? So same thing for you. We're looking for your bare needs expenses. So again, it's usually housing, food, transportation, medical, like insurance, stuff like that. Those kind of things that you just have to have. And whatever that number is, multiply it by whatever number of months you want of cushion, and that's what your safety net is. So it could be $20,000, it could be $5,000, it could be $100,000, it doesn't matter.
And some of you are probably thinking, hey, I thought we were going to learn about investing, the sexy stuff, getting into real estate, all that cool stuff, right? Because that's how you got financially free, right? Yes, and this is the path to get there, right? So step 1 was destroy high interest debt. A lot of people think that, oh, I'm gonna start investing and get like 10, 20% returns in real estate, but they have like a 20% interest credit card. Like, no, you gotta do that first. That's why that's step 1. And then after you pay that off, you're gonna go towards building the safety net, because one of the reasons why people get in trouble when investing is because they put all of their money in an investment, and it could have been a good investment, but they don't have a safety net for when that one bill comes up.
Life happens, right?
Right. Like, let's say someone on TV magically said that tenants don't have to pay rent this month.
Did that happen?
Right?
I could swear that happened.
Yeah, it's like deja vu.
Yeah.
When that happens and your tenant doesn't pay and you can't pay the mortgage payment, guess what happens?
They take your house.
Right. You lose your investment. All the money you sank in there just because you don't have like $1,000 to pay your mortgage payment.
Right. So what does a safety net give you? What are the benefits that a safety net gives you?
1, if something like that happens, you don't, like, let's say you put 50 grand in that investment property. You're going to lose it for $1,000.
That would be silly.
Right?
Yeah.
So like it gives you that ability to not lose more money than you should. But the other thing is it gives you a clear head. It gives you peace of mind. Sometimes I call it a peace of mind fund, because when you're stressed all the time, when you're like, oh, is my tenant going to pay rent? Or what if my car breaks down because you don't have money in the bank? Like, what can you really do, right? Like, how can you learn all the things you need to learn to start investing in real estate? How can you become better at your job so you can make more money? How can you even just enjoy time with your spouse when you're just like stressed out all the time?
Both the brain space, just thinking about it, and like the emotional willpower energy. Like everything is drained when you're worried about the next, like, paycheck to paycheck, when there's no cushion, there's no margin for error. Every mistake is mission critical.
Right. And then you can't even take risks, like switching to a job that maybe you enjoy better and has a better potential, because you can't even float the 2 weeks that it'll take, for your new job to start issuing you checks or issuing you direct deposits. So you need to make sure that you have that at least 6 months of living expenses set aside in cash reserves, a savings account, something that you can take in case you need it, so that you have this peace of mind and you can afford to take risks on yourself, like getting a better job and
without having to worry about your family eating, right? Like you can take a risk on yourself knowing that no matter what, power will stay on, your family will still eat. What it's giving you is the ability to make better decisions from a position of power instead of a position of fear. And I understand. You stick it in a bank account and everyone's talking about inflation and how it's losing money in the bank account and it's paying no interest, and I get it. But what it's paying you is an opportunity, right? It's paying you in the ability to take calculated risks, to take a gamble on yourself or the next investment or something like that without having to worry about your family.
Right. Because here's the secret, guys. Investing is really a lot of problem solving, right? If you are buying your own deal, guess what? The reason you're able to make money on a deal is because there are problems associated with it. We actually are just buying problems that we solve, and that's why we can increase income and decrease expenses and therefore make more money as an investor when we buy a deal. It's because there were problems to begin with that the previous owner didn't want to solve or didn't have time to solve. So if you don't have this peace of mind and you don't give yourself enough brain space or room to even look at a problem and begin to think how you can start solving problems, you're not going to do well in investing.
Imagine losing your job, right? That's one of the most like terrifying things of people who we were in careers where like jobs are stability, jobs are safety, or support. Like this is your goal is to get a good, stable job so that you don't have to worry. But your whole world is wrapped up in this, and it suddenly disappears for whatever reason. Company goes out of business. Somebody else takes your job for a lower pay, whatever. Like something happens and you lose your job, and now your whole world falls apart. Like that's just like,
right.
That stress is unbearable.
And then that skill of actually building your safety net, because it's not gonna, let's say 6 months of living expenses for you is somewhere in the $20,000 to $50,000 range,
Sure.
Wherever your expenses are. Let's just say it's $20,000. It's not gonna happen like that, right? Like I don't think any of us had $20,000 extra in month one, right? From our paychecks. Like even us as a software developer and speech language pathologist, we didn't have 20K random extra money in month one. So it's gonna take time, right? Like maybe you add $1,000 this month. Maybe your goal is $20,000. You add $1,000 this month and another 1,000 next month, and then you get a raise or a
bonus or something.
A bonus. You don't spend as much. Maybe you add another $3,000 the next month. Anyway, you get to that $20,000 mark. Do you understand that discipline of you being able to look at your bank account and know that there's $10,000 there, and you don't spend it, that discipline is what allows you to handle hundreds of thousands of dollars and then millions of dollars? You have to build that discipline of, here's money, I'm going to put it in the bank. I can see it, I can touch it, I can, it is my money, but I am telling my money to be in my safety net, right? And then you build your $20,000 safety net. Guess what the next thing you need to do, which is going to be the next part of the video, is you're going to start allocating the extra money above your safety net into investments, right? But you're never going to get there if you don't start with your safety net. Our story with the safety net was like, when we didn't have it, we thought, hey, we're just going to like sock everything away towards investing or paying off high interest debt. And one day we had this like $1,500 our car broke down. We only had
like an alternator or something like that.
We had one car. We had one Toyota 4Runner, 1998 4Runner with 200,000 miles, and something broke down, $1,500. And I remember myself freaking out because like Chris worked from home, but I had to use the car to get to work, right? So I'm like, I was so anxious and worried because I was like, we didn't have $1,500, and I was like, how am I going to get to work? Am I going to get fired, right? Like, the work was really important to us because we were using that to pay off the debt.
And we live in a small town, so there's not really a lot of public transit.
Yes.
So, like, there weren't other options.
There was no public transit.
Yeah.
Like, the bus came 3 times a day.
And we don't own a bicycle, so we're out of luck.
And I can't ride a bicycle. So that didn't help. But anyway, like, I was, like, bawling, right? I was, like, crying at the dealership.
I think the word you used was tantrum. You were throwing a tantrum.
Yes, I was throwing a little child tantrum. And poor Chris had to be there with all the other adults, with his wife, throwing a tantrum because we didn't have $1,500. Yeah, that was really bad. So don't be in that situation. That's what taught me to not be in that situation. Because, like, it was really, in hindsight, right? Like, it was very embarrassing. I shouldn't have done it. If we had just socked away some money, I wouldn't have felt that way. I wouldn't have acted that way. And just not a great place to be. So sometimes we learn from pain and humiliation in my scenario. So that's what taught me to actually build this safety net and not, just keep putting it somewhere else. So from that day on, we actually had money in our bank account and I could see it and I didn't spend it. These lessons you're learning right now are the building blocks to you as an investor, and don't take it lightly, right? Like if you look at any successful athlete and you watch their interviews, they keep talking about the basics and how important the basics are, right? This is the basics for investing. Destroying high interest debt first and then building your safety net second. This never goes away. Even at our level, we co-own over $150 million of real estate, over 2,400 units. We manage millions of dollars. We still have a safety net.
Personally, and for each property and for each business. Like this skill never goes away. This is used at all levels, and the discipline that you use to manage your family tends to bleed into how you manage your business and tends to bleed into how you manage your investments. So like her point on discipline here is spot on. The discipline that it takes to accumulate cash to a certain point that is predefined. You've decided how much you want, you accumulate to that point, you invest everything else. Like the discipline to not touch this money except for its purpose. And then to not touch this money except for its purpose, right? To give money a purpose and only use it for that purpose. Like that takes a lot of discipline. And when you're managing your own money, it's critical, but it becomes even more critical when you're managing other people's money.
Yeah. And that's a really important point, right? Like you phrased it so nicely. All right, you're telling your money what to do. You're giving your money a purpose instead of just allowing society, the world, media, ads to tell you what to do with your money, which is most of the time what happens, right?
Oh, we're
like,
trained, yeah.
Remember that one thing that you paid a lot of money for that you don't really use? Was that really your idea? Or did some ad or some salesperson just magically rope you into thinking it was your idea? So think about that the next time you spend money. Like, is it really your idea? Is it really aligned with your values?
And what you want in life, right?
So for us, we value the freedom we have, the financial freedom we have, that we don't have to work a certain job, right? We can choose what we work on. Like this video.
Yeah.
And then when we have fun, when we go on dates, the reason Chris is sitting here is because I told him we can go on a date after recording this video. We can go on dates with the money we make from financial freedom. So you can do that too. Anyway, thank you guys for listening. Make sure you check out the other videos in the series because you are going to learn a lot of really great lessons and tips. And you're going to learn how we did it, like all the stuff we went through. And hopefully that helps you out. If you're on Instagram or TikTok, follow me there. I pretty much post there daily. And then we have a Facebook group called Faster Financial Freedom where you can ask questions. We're going to be there. The silly, I don't know what you're going to call us. The silly people are going to be there and we can answer your questions. And we have a lot of amazing other people who are already financially free or are working towards financial freedom that you can interact with. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe and share this with someone who you think it will help. We will see you at the next video.